Hey everybody. Today I'm at Moscow restaurant in Beijing having lunch. And I was reminded of when I was little. My grandmother would say we needed to get out the good china when we had friends coming over for lunch or dinner. And it got me to thinking, what's the connection between China with a little c, the plates we eat on, and China with a big C, the country where I live? This afternoon, we're going to find the answer. So here we are at Guangfu Museum, known for its fully immersive displays. It's also very famous for its extensive private collections of many items, including export porcelain. If we look at this example right here, this is a plate depicting a ship of the Dutch East India Company. It has the name of the ship, the Freiburg, the name of the captain, Jacob Reitzig, and the date, 1756. This is a really good example of export porcelain mass-produced for the European market, which loved Chinese ceramics at the time, and probably was shipped on ships just like this. I can't imagine how it survived the trip of up to 5 months. I'm not sure I would have even made it. I'm not sure how I would have done as a passenger on the Freiburg, but I really would have enjoyed seeing all the cities along the way like Singapore, Goa, and the place where our next object comes from, Coromandel, located on the southeastern coast of India. Let's go take a look. Of the many entrepôts along the sea routes between Asia and Europe, some of the most famous were those along the Coromandel coast, which traded specifically in Chinese lacquer. The screen behind me is known as the Coromandel screen. If we take a closer look, even though this screen was produced during the early Qing dynasty around 300 years ago, it uses a lot of Ming dynasty motifs and styles. But the story it depicts is actually from the Tang dynasty, stretching back a full 1,200 years. The next piece we're going to look at is really interesting. My friend disagrees, but I think that this was ordered by a Chinese person who really liked European styles. If we look at the story, it's a very typical Chinese love story about a boy and a girl that fell in love. But if you look at the outside of the plate, the chainmail pattern and the individual scenes on the edge of the plate are very European. This is interesting because it shows a perfect blending of East and West. So we're really not sure who ordered it, but they definitely like both Chinese and Western styles. While Europe and China became increasingly fascinated with each other's cultures, I'm not sure everything caught on. The next piece we're going to look at is this. It's a punch bowl. It's just a really big bowl. But people didn't drink punch in China. So when they named this, they had to use the sound of punch to create a new word. Panqu, wan. Panqu is punch, wan is bowl. What I'm curious to see is if anybody here knows what panqu is. Let's go have a look. 你知道panqu是什么意思吗？
我不知道。
不知道吧？你没听说过啊？
是的。
你知道panqu是什么意思吗？ So, just as I thought, nobody seems to know what panqu means. But I'm sure that if they tried some punch with a little rum in it, they'd like it a lot. One thing I don't think that you guys know is that the word punch for the drink actually isn't an English word. It comes from the Hindi word for 5 because there were usually 5 ingredients in a bowl of punch. So we've got this mix of cultures, this mix of languages, this mix of styles, which is really interesting and shows that there's a lot of connection between China, India, and Europe. People all over the world have always wanted exotic things from faraway places. Nothing has really changed. Today we talk about trade in terms of trade wars, who exports how much and who imports how much. What I think is more interesting is the cultural element. We should come together, exchange our cultures, whether it's in a punch bowl or a melting pot, and ask ourselves, what kind of new flavors can we make together? What do you think?